We're saving the best for last. We've heard a lot from CEOs from big companies all around the United States of worldwide operations. Now we're going to hear from one of our very own, Montanan, who is a real true blue Montanan. Parents, I think he grew up in the ranch at Wolf Point, high school, Great Falls, here at Tech, got his petroleum engineering degree here at Tech, and off to become a CEO of one of the larger companies in the world, frankly. A great guy. And I also want to sideline point out how dedicated he is to Montana still. On the board here at Tech, and very involved in education in Montana. And I want to thank all our leading educators here. I see Wadded, Crisado, and Royce Egstrom, of course, Jane Karras on the program, and Don Blackadder is a key here as Chancellor at Tech. And we didn't have time for an education section, but a lot of educators and heads of our institutions have been at some of the breakout sessions, which have been very well attended. I think there was a few of them so well attended that there weren't not enough space, and people stand out in the hallways. And I think that's a real good testament to the degree to which people are getting really involved in all this. So let's now give a good Butte America welcome to Ryan Lance. We're just getting our signal straight here, what we're going to do here. Okay, I'll begin with a question, and I might add another one during the session here, but be thinking of questions you want to ask too. And it's a little hard here to see, but we'll do our best to recognize people. Okay, starting out. As a Montanan, Ryan, it's just your thoughts on how we, really two questions, generally position ourselves as we work to grow, and more specifically with respect to energy. If you could just kind of talk about those two general questions.
Sure. Thank you. So Montana, it's great to be home, and thank you for all you've done for Montana, Senator. And you never need an excuse to come home, but this is even doubly special to come home. And questions are fine except from my mother, so anybody else can ask a question except her today. But no, Montana, lots changed over 30 years. I was telling some folks and reminiscing over the last couple of days that when I came here and graduated from this great school about 30 years ago now, you know, we looked at it and said we probably most of us had to leave Montana because we faced a situation where we might get a little bit lower pay if we tried to stay here in Montana or try to go make our way in the global energy world outside of that. So I've seen a lot of changes in Montana, and you see them here at the summit as well. When you think about the internet, you think about the access. Now Montana's kind of the gateway to the Canadian oil sands and some of the work that's being done there. The North American unconventional shale revolution that's occurring around the U.S. is happening very close in the Bakken and North Dakota, but it's also got the opportunity to spread into eastern Montana with the existing production that already exists in the Williston Basin. So it's really interesting to see this energy renaissance that occurred in the space and the business that I'm in over the last 5 years. We've gone from a place of resource scarcity 5-6 years ago now to one of resource abundance. And that's really tipped the whole energy equation on its head, and it's presented, I think, some unique opportunities for Montana. You're close to Canada and the Canadian oil sands, and a revolution that's going on up there, in really an admirable expansion of what's happening up there, and then, of course, the unconventional revolution as it heads into Montana. So you're really at a place, I think, that can take off over the next few years. We're seeing more manufacturing, we're seeing more support services. Our company, we're bringing more people to Sydney, to Baker, to eastern Montana, not only to help support our operations in North Dakota, but to expand our operations here in Montana.
That reminds me a little, I think the community colleges are gearing up too, to trying to address a lot of that. Great Falls, for example, I guess it's College of Great Falls, University of Great Falls over there. The president over there was telling me that they're training people in the same area. Is that, you find some of that going on and some of that helpful too?
No, absolutely. I think what we see in the universities and the colleges, it's not just here at Tech, it's at Bozeman, Missoula, Great Falls, Havre, Dillon, all those areas starting to turn out very high quality kids that are in all aspects of the energy part, not just the higher end, say, petrotechnical or geophysical, geology, but also in the craft labor that's so important in our business. It is about electricians, it's about welders, it's about manufacturers that are coming back here to Montana to support the industry as it starts to encroach again upon Montana, like it did when we were playing the overthrust belt back in the late 70s, early 80s.
What about the role of technology in energy? We've had some pretty fancy people here the last couple of days. A lot of stuff which I have a hard time trying to get my head around. Stuff that Eric Schmidt at Google talks about and so forth, and Safra Katz at Oracle. The role of technology with respect to energy and energy development and transportation of energy products. What advice do you have there?
Well, I think it's a great question, Max, because we get sometimes accused of an industry as not being very high tech, and maybe we aren't when you listen to Mr. Musk and you listen to Alan Mulally and you talk about hybrids and plug-in hybrids and the electrical and the revolution. You hear Eric Schmidt talk about Google and everything, but I have to put in a plug for our business too, because we've gone from this place of resource scarcity to abundance really on the back of technology in our business. So you think about what we've accomplished over the last 5 years. We're now drilling wells that go for 1 to 2 miles horizontally. So think about that. That's all the way down Park Street to our favorite spot at the Voo Villa. So if you think about a wellbore, an 8-inch wellbore going all the way from where we're sitting today to the Voo, we're stimulating that to produce hydrocarbons out of something as hard as the floor that we're walking on today. And that's the technology, the convergence of horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing that's really benefited our North American shale revolution that we're experiencing today. And then you combine that with some of the deep water technologies that we're applying. So we are now drilling in water depths up to 10,000 feet and then drilling wells below the mud up to another 20 to 30,000 feet. And we're tapping resources in the Gulf of Mexico and other places around the world. So it really has become a high-tech business to try to figure out how to responsibly and safely produce hydrocarbons so it's sustainable. And we all know it has to be sustainable to be right. And so I think we get a bit of a rap on the technology side, but it's been dramatic what the increases have been over the last 10 years.
So what about our educational system, elementary, secondary, college and so forth? Advice you have, what should we be focusing on to take advantage of a lot of these changes, one in the energy sector, second, generally globally, a lot going on, a lot of change. So how do we position ourselves, especially get educated? You make a statement that so many people make, I've made many times myself, namely, it's sad and it makes one angry that so many high school graduates and college graduates often have to leave our state to get a good paying job, and that's just unconscionable. So what do we do to get that down to zero, and more importantly, even turn around so kids want to come to Montana to get their education because that's where they want to live?
Yeah, I think it is really important, and it does start early. It starts in middle school, it starts in high school. We've got to do a better job of getting our kids into the STEM program and getting them.
I'm sure most people here know STEM. Could you explain to those who don't know what STEM is?
Yeah, into the science, technology, engineering, and math, into the sciences and mathematic curriculums to really succeed in this world. An interesting statistic, on the engineering side, China is producing about 800,000 engineers every year. The U.S. is producing about 80,000 engineers every year. So that's our challenge in this business. And as we grow and develop on the energy side, and not just energy, we're talking about manufacturing coming to the Gulf Coast because of cheap natural gas prices. We're talking about pipelines being built. So not only are we seeing the revolution on the internet side and some of the back office and the software side, we're seeing it on the hard side as well. And I think it's really important. I had a chance to visit with the education commissioner here in Montana a little bit ago. We were talking about some of the things we experience. Whether I go to Texas or whether I'm in New York or in Pennsylvania, North Dakota, or here in Montana, it is about getting more kids engaged when they get through their junior and senior year of high school. They stay engaged. They have the opportunity to earn college credit kinds of courses. So that's the cheapest way to do it, actually. Because when they come to college, they need to be prepared. They need to be prepared in the math, the engineering, and the sciences. And that's really all of our challenge is On the private sector, how do we partner with the public sector to create that happen? We do pretty good in the higher university level system. We don't necessarily penetrate into the high school level, which is where we need to get to, because that's where I think our kids are not getting prepared. They're not getting prepared, nor do they want or desire to understand what their opportunity looks like if they can move into the higher educating side, become an ore digger, become a bobcat or a grizzly, and really then graduate. And as the industry matures and manufacturing comes, they're going to have more of an opportunity to stay here in Montana than they do today.
So what happened to you? I mean, here you go. You go to tech, you get a degree here, and you go work for an oil company. I don't know what you did next. And look where you are now. And so,
Blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. You know?
So, what can you tell us to help our younger Montanans who see what you did, ask themselves, "Gosh, I'd like to do that, something like that too." What advice do you have for them?
Well, it is work hard. Obviously, have passion for what you're doing, and follow your passion a lot. So when I graduated from tech. And unfortunately, I was in that space that said, can I stay in Montana? And there really wasn't an opportunity for me to stay in Montana. So I went to Alaska, fresh out of Montana Tech. And what I tell people is get the experience in this. In our business, anyways, this business has gone global. And it's 24/7. It's around the clock. It's about what you do in China. It's about what we're doing here in North America. And it's a great business. We are at the juxtaposition of three important issues globally, and that is energy security, the economy, and national security. And the energy business is a part of all that in every single country. And that's what's exciting about it. In this North American unconventional revolution that's occurring both in the U.S. and up in Canada is now opening up a lot more opportunities, not only in the oil-producing states that have been that way for 30 or 40 years, but for new states that are now entering this, like North Dakota and the tremendous growth that's happened there.
I'm going to call an audible. This conference has been, I think, organized pretty well, kept on time, et cetera. I've got to go catch an airplane. There are a ton of questions I'm sure people have. And so here's my suggestion. I don't know how much time you have.
I've got all the time I need.
Okay, that's great. So let's just, I got to run. You can field all the questions. And just thank everybody. Thank for all this conference, and Brian's going to take over.
Thank Senator Baucus for another great economic summit.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to make this, the follow-up here is really going to be terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Max Baucus, for 36 years and 6 summits and everything he's done for Montana. Thank you, Bob. Okay, man. Okay, great. Good job.
Do you have time?
We'll take a few more questions.
Okay. I'll really open it up to the audience. If there's anything, any question out there that I can answer, I'd be happy to try. Here's one coming down.
Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I guess just being a Butte guy and a Butte kid, let's go for the hard ask. What do we have to do here at Tech and in this community to encourage your organization to set up some sort of internship center to feed both the Bakken and the Alberta tar sands?
Yeah, no, it's, I think continue doing a lot of what you're doing. I know the Chancellor, got to know him pretty well over the last year, pretty involved with the foundation here, and we'll be kicking off, or in the process, kicking off a new capital campaign as well for Montana Tech. We do hire a number of people. In fact, we made more offers this year to Tech students than we got hired in. So they have choices and options, and a 93% placement rate is pretty incredible for this school. What can Tech do? I think continuing the material science PhD program that Tech just landed is a big, important first mover. And I think we need to look for more opportunities to do that don't necessarily try to compete with MSU or U of M, but really build on the niche that is Montana Tech here. I would buy the house that I lived in 30 years ago. It snowed horizontally through that house in winter. It still does. I just took my children to universities as well. They started, and the facilities the dorms, where they live is really important to kids today. Connectivity is really important. It's not as much maybe isolation that we had 30 years ago. So, new facilities, dormitories, things like that, that's where the public or the private sector can work with the public sector to try to improve on those things. That's what tech needs. The vision to be, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 students 5, 6, 7, 10 years from today, because the demand is going to be there. I guarantee you the demand is going to be there. So we have to get more of our Montanans through high school, educated, and into great institutions like Tech, Bozeman, University of Montana, Dillon, Havre, all the schools around the state. That'll be a big benefit to not only Montana, but certainly here to Tech.
Over here on your right.
Thank you for being here today. I work for the Nature Conservancy, and ConocoPhillips is a strong supporter of fresh water and is a very responsible company. And I wondered how you would encourage new entrepreneurs to think about their philanthropy and corporate responsibility.
Well, I think it does revolve around sustainability. We're in a hydrocarbon business. It's a non-renewable business. But we have to do our job to supply energy to the world, and we have to do it sustainably. So it is about the air. It's about the air we breathe, the water that we drink. And I think any responsible company like ConocoPhillips or others in this business would tell you that that's really important. We have to do that well. We were a supporter of Yellowstone Park in 1911, and we've been a supporter of Yellowstone Park, one of our foundational charities that we do. When Senator Baucus asked us to support the North Fork of the Flathead, our company stepped up with about 300,000 acres that we donated back and said that, I fish the North Fork. I know what it's like. So pretty easy sell within our company. But more importantly, the business that we're in, the business that we do, it is about reducing the footprint. It's about reducing air emissions. The technology is helping there that Max talked about a little bit. The Canadian oil sands, reducing the emissions and the footprint. What we're doing on the unconventional side in the same regard. Industry's come a long ways. We have further to go, but I think we've made some incredible progress over the last 20, 30 years since I've been in this business. But thank you. I appreciate your question. Maybe time for one more?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Howdy, Walter Schweitzer, and I live in Judith Basin County. If you're from Lewistown, you know about it. And I have actually 3 pipelines that go through my ranch. Yours is the oldest, the Phillips 66 line. And I've had issues with these pipelines since I was born. My parents had lost several heifers when you put that first pipeline in. The other 2 are not yours. This summer, my daughter broke a cylinder on one of your pipelines where the ridge is 3.5 feet above the ground. She's a rookie on the swather. I probably wouldn't have done that. Pipelines are important, but somehow you got to resolve issues with us landowners and make it so that we're engaged in wanting to support your pipeline. Thank you.
No, thank you. And that's important. I think our ability to work with the communities, with the landowners is pretty important. And I'll pass that on. So an important distinction here, just from a ConocoPhillips perspective, is corporately we made a decision about a year and a half ago to separate our company into 2 pieces. So I represent ConocoPhillips. I'm on the exploration and production side. Phillips 66, which is another independent separate company from ours, is in charge of the pipeline. But I know the CEO very well. Obviously a friend, and I'll pass your concern and issue along to him. But importantly for our business, these unconventionals that we're producing in North America, it is important for us to have sustainable long-term community relationships. It's important for our company to be a part of those communities, be an active member in those communities, so we can reach out and understand what the issues are. So thank you for your question. I think that I've got the end signed here. So Max is on the way, but we've got a great end to the program, and I just want to say thank you as well from as a Montana boy, lived here a long time, still have my roots here, my family here. This has been a great conference. Great to see the talent that's been brought, and really what is happening to this school. So if I didn't do anything, I got to put in one last plug for the Ore Diggers. They asked me in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, who I thought, if I could pick any team at all to win the national championship, who would it be? I said the Montana Tech Ore Diggers. And they looked at me kind of crazy, but I said, you can always dream. There's always a way to go do it. This is a great school, great college. What y'all are doing here in Montana, the businesses that are being created from Missoula down to Bozeman over to Billings, it's phenomenal to see what's happened in 30 years, and I think the next 30 are even better. So thank you.
Thank you so much.